Jesus Freak here. It's called Brain Drain, and anytime I've done anything significant, I just don't have the mental stamina for a while to do much. Most of you probably wouldn't know what kind of stuff I was doing. I was creating a CPU emulator. Basically, emulating a chip. You know, it's a software implementation of a piece of hardware. And when I first wrote an Apple II emulator so I could, you know, I was using one at the time called Apple PC, and it had some bugs, and sometimes it just randomly crashed for no reason. So I decided to rewrite it, because there was no source code, so the only option was to write it from scratch. And at the time there were some things I just couldn't wrap my head around. So I used other people's code to fill in the gaps. Now, I had been thinking of trying to write a 65 CO2 emulator myself for years. And a couple days ago I sat down and said, I'm going to do it. It can't be that hard. So I just sat down with some documentation and just started writing. When I finished, I hooked it up to a simulation that I use for testing hardware, or emulation. I use this for... Originally I wrote it for testing the emulation of something called the arcade board, which is a video card, a graphics card, kind of like what NVIDIA makes, but the kind of stuff, you know, this was from 40 years ago, 35. So this was my test bench, so to speak. I plugged it in, I started it, nothing. Then I traced through the code a bit to see what it was doing. And found out where it was going off the rails. Now, it still doesn't work right, but it works enough that this test bench will actually start up. And I was like, wow, it actually works. So I had a screenshot. Showing that it worked. I uploaded it to Facebook, I uploaded it to Twitter, and I shared it on IRC. I'm actually feeling quite accomplished right now, but I'm mentally exhausted. Because I get mentally exhausted after I've done a lot of work and racked my brain for hours. But it is a tremendous feeling of accomplishment. The likes of which I haven't really felt for years. I think the last time I felt this accomplished was when I translated the New Testament. That was almost a decade ago now. Anyway, I've been working on some other stuff on the side. I did some new thumbnails that I'm going to bring in for the readings in the end of November. I'm thinking of things I could add to the readings to make them more than just readings. I got to do some research. First thing I want to research right now, I'm researching on Advent candles, because they're going to be part of the beginning of this project when it goes into, the start of the liturgical year is the first Sunday Advent. That's November 29th this year. So that's when I'm going to start with the upgrades to the readings. Meanwhile, I'm still messing around with the format. See what happens. Jesus freak out.